co-founder and CEO for Coach Blueprint, and today we're going to be talking about 7 surprisingly simple ways to get more business now guaranteed. You know, as we are in business, we want to get more business. We want to be able to help more clients and customers, and in large part, that's to stay in business and also in order to accomplish our mission, whatever it is that we set forth out in business to create, whatever we set forth out in life to be able to create, and are using our businesses to do just exactly that. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. The best way I know how to do that is by using Big Bang Marketing Implementation System, and it's one of the things that we do. So my question is, do you want the phone to ring more? Do you want more appointments? Now, the answer to this question is almost always yes. I want the phone to ring more. I want more appointments. And we want that because there's only 3 ways to make more money in business, right? So there's only 3 ways to increase revenue. You can either charge more for each person that you do get to come through the door. So if you get a new client or customer and they come through the door, you can charge them more for whatever it is that you're selling to them. And you think about this like, do you want fries with that? This is the upsell process, or this is simply raising prices depending on the situation. So charging more per customer that comes in the door, that's one way to get new business. That's one way to increase revenue. A second way to increase revenue is to get the people that are already coming in the door to come in the door more often. So this is like, hey, you came to see us for lunch on Friday. Why don't you come see us for lunch on Wednesday and Friday? This is the same thing as, hey, you got your tan on Monday. Would you come and do tanning again on Thursday? That sort of thing, to get them to come through the door more often. And if you're a brick and mortar business, this meaning you have like an actual shop, this is getting them to come by and see the new merchandise that's in the store over and over and over again. And you think about a place like QT. We just got QTs all over our area here, and we hadn't had them before. And I've stopped using almost every other gas station. So instead of just using them on the way to work, I also use them on the way home from work. In fact, I search out QTs almost every time I stop and shop. So they're getting my business more and more often, even though they really only had to get me interested in their business the one time. So that's the second way to increase revenue. The third way to increase revenue is this way right here, which is getting more new customers. Going out there, letting people know about who you are, and having them come into your business and do business with you for the very first time. And so that's the big thing we're going to talk about today, is increasing revenue by doing that. Now, the bottom line is Big Bang Marketing makes the phone ring. We make it so that when you go out there and you do this kind of marketing, the phone begins to ring. People start showing up so that you can do business with them. I'm going to take a second here, back up just a little bit, and talk about who I am. So I am Krista Trantham, and I guess I have sort of my sketch of a resume up there. I started working with my dad in a small business when I was 12 years old, and I did everything. We used to go in early in the morning. So we would go in somewhere between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, and I went in with him during the summers. And it eventually got to the point where I had to start taking in my pillow and my sleeping bag at my mom's request, because we would stay until late at night. And when I say late at night, I mean 11 or 12 o'clock at night, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning, and then go home and start over and do it all over again the very next day. And so at 12 years old, I wasn't quite as capable of staying up that late and doing those things. But what I was learning was invaluable from my father. Now, he ran $1 million business, and I wanted to know, how did he do that? What was it that my father left and did every day, all day? And I will tell you, it does not take those kind of hours anymore to run a $1 million business. In fact, it doesn't take those kind of hours to start and make a business into $1 million business. But that's what we thought it took at that time, and that's what we were doing, because we were dedicated to doing whatever it took to make our business dream successful. And I got to be a part of my father's dream at that point, and now I have my very own dream of doing business success, and that's why Coach Blueprint exists. I did think that I needed a degree, so I went out and got my degree in marketing from the University of Texas at Arlington. I wouldn't undo that, but I would say it's a very expensive investment, both in time, energy, and money, and that I learned most of what I needed out in the field actually getting stuff done, working under somebody else who knew what they were doing and watching what they did and watching the successes and watching the failures and being in small groups, I would call them mastermind groups, and listening to what other business owners did and learning, oh, this worked and that didn't work, and learning how that whole process went start to finish. So I started out as a gopher. I did eventually conquer every position from phone sales to customer support, to back office manager, payroll, accounts payable, all the whole 9 yards there. And then the last 10 years I've really helped small businesses grow themselves, develop into the businesses that they wanted to be. I started out in the home inspector niche. And, a lot of people tell me that I shouldn't mention that I started out in the home inspector niche. That just happened to be the business that my father made his first $1 million business out of. And you know what? I'm not ashamed of that. I don't know how you could be ashamed of building a home and a business, $1 million business that actually helps people. So if for some reason that sets me off in a bad light, well then, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out here pretty quickly. But I think that once you have done something amazing in business, it doesn't really matter what your niche is as long as you're helping people. And now I work with business owners, small business owners, all the way up to national franchises, and we really help them grow their business. That's what Coach Blueprint is all about. We have local masterminds here, and we also have chapter meetings. We're really about making sure that you know what it is to grow a successful small business and the tools that you need to get there. So let's dive in a little bit. This is my why, and you'll see why this is relevant here in a minute. This is my little Aiden, and he's my cool dude in my car there, and he just loved those sunglasses. Mommy, picture. And then this is the same little boy, Aiden, and he's amazing. You can see it right here on the left-hand side if you look really carefully. You can see that he is holding on to a little rope there. He's about 12 feet up in the air in this picture, and he is on a rope bridge, meaning he's on one piece of rope walking across. And look at that excited, happy face. He's on an adventure. And when you're in business, you are also on an adventure. And I love this picture because it just depicts that. These are my whys for being in business. This is my son Joshua. He's about 5 years older than Aiden, and we love to go and do things together. He's my thinker, and we enjoy high difficulty conversations. What's the difference between happiness and joy? Let's start naming the body parts. Where's your patella? Let's do a quiz. This is definitely my thinker, and so we have a lot of fun together. Aiden's my doer, and he gets up on things and gets things going and blowing and making sure that things are happening the way he wants them to happen, and I love that. And this is my whole family, so that's little Aiden, and this is Joshua. He's about 5 years older than Aiden, like I said. And this is my husband, Norman, right here, in the tall gentleman here, and he is an amazing, amazing man. It helps make all of this worthwhile and make it possible as we go forward. We're pretty big into Cub Scouts. That's our Cub Scout T-shirts we're wearing there, Pack 321, and we really love the program and love how it helps grow men into boys, or boys into men, rather. So this is what gets me out of bed in the morning. And the reason I want to talk to you about that is because people talk to me about how are we going to grow business? How are we going to make the phone ring more? How are we going to get more appointments on the books? And how is the usual question, and how is a fine question to ask? It's just not the first question to ask. And the reason is you really have to figure out first what will motivate you to succeed. I had a coach one time, he was talking to Mike and I, and he said this amazing thing, and Mike and I both looked at each other. We're like, that's awesome. And he said this. He said, why plus how equals wow. You have to know your why. Because if you don't, business is going to get tough some days. I'm not one to sugarcoat it. I'm not one to sit here and tell you everything's going to be perfect and fantastic. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. We know this inherently, and I'm really tired of people telling us that it is sunshine and rainbows. You're going to be a millionaire overnight or in the next 6 weeks. I've seen that happen so rarely that I don't think it's the norm. What I think is the norm is people that are dedicated and hardworking and they make it happen, and that's the norm. And so that's what you need to be aiming for. And you got to know your why in order to do that, because there's going to come a day when it's going to be hard to get out of bed in the morning. There's going to be something that you need to be doing that you don't want to do. There's going to be a frog to eat, if you'll let me borrow Brian Tracy's term there. And if you have your why in place, if it is crystal clear to you, then you are going to jump out of bed, or at least get out of bed, and you're going to go and you're going to make it happen. And so having your why is the most important, most critical thing. And that's why I share my why with you. And that is also why I share the how with you, because you've got to have both in order to have the wow. So let's talk a little bit about the how. So the first how is what I call the difference between clients and customers. So I also call this Maven-driven marketing, and it helps you really get about 5 times the ROI from your marketing dollars when you do it this way. And if you're following along on the handout, so we got why plus how equals wow at the top there, and then you got strategy number 1 is clients versus customers. Maven-driven marketing. You have to think about who the person is that can send you the most amount of business, who can refer you the most. And when you think about it, I really started realizing this from the home inspector standpoint. So in home inspections, we deal with real estate agents. Real estate agents have a client and they also have a customer. So if you think about the client as the person that pays you money, so you think about an agent's client is the seller. Every agent gets paid by the seller. That's how that situation works. The seller is the one that signs the contract, and they're the one that actually pays for agents on both sides of the deal. So they'll pay for the listing agent, and they also pay for the buyer's agent. Well, here's the deal. The seller has a very big concern and fiduciary responsibility to the seller. They also, however, have a customer, and that customer is the buyer. So if you are an agent and you have a buyer and a seller on the same house, who do you owe responsibility to? And the answer is both. You owe levels of responsibility, varying levels of responsibility to both the client and the customer, both the buyer and the seller. You're responsible for certain things to each one. And so as we were thinking about us as inspectors, we're thinking, okay, well, the people that pay us money is usually the buyer. So when you're buying a house, you go and you have it inspected. They tell you the condition of the home. And if you need an inspector, you can go out to ethicalinspectors.com. It's a good resource for people that are ethical in the industry. And so at any rate, what we realized was as home inspectors, the person that gave us money was the buyer. The person who we had a secondary level of responsibility to, the customer for us, was the agent. That's right, the agent, because they are also involved in the process. They are part of the person that receives what it is that we deliver, whether it be the report or verbal evaluation of the home, whatever it is, the agent is part of that. And so that made it really clear to us that the buyer is important to us, but also the agent is important to us. And the agent is also important because a buyer on average only buys a house once every 7 years, but an agent might help three buyers a year, or a really good agent might help 20 buyers a year or 50 buyers a year. And so that made a huge difference. So instead of trying to market specifically to the clients, or instead of trying to just market specifically to the clients, we began marketing to the customer, and that customer was the agent. And here's the deal. They should know who the great inspectors are in the area. Why? Because they do this a lot more often than the buyer. They have more intimate knowledge of the industry. So I want you to think about your business for a minute, and who pays you money? Who is the person that physically hands you money? That's the client. That's your client. Now, most people know who that is right off the top of their head. Now, the second question I want to ask you is, who is that referral source? Who is the maven that could send you lots and lots of clients? Now, for most people, this takes a little bit of time to wrap their heads around it. So if you think about who you are, think about who the person is that pays you money, and then think about who that referral source is. So is it somebody that's ahead of you in the process? Usually it is. Or is it somebody who just has the ear of the person and has the wherewithal and the respect of the person that would allow them to be a referrer to you? So I think a lot of times about people who get referred. So for example, if you want to talk about a roofer, which is one of our $1 million companies, we were just able to give a trophy out again this last year. It's our second roofer to make the $1 million club. And that's one of the things we're trying to do at the Coach Blueprint Millionaire Inspector Communities. We're trying to create $100 million companies. And it's a goal that one of our coaches gave to us a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, I guess, but it feels since the inception of Coach Blueprint. And, for me, I was immediately on board because I know $1 million company supports on average 10 families. And that means every time that happens, 10 families are supported and just made to be able to support themselves in a way that's meaningful in their lives forevermore. And so I got on board with that goal a lot. So at any rate, back to you, making sure that you know who your client is, but also who that referral source is. So for roofers, one of their best referral sources is the insurance companies. For mortgage lenders, one of their best referral companies is real estate agents. But for home insurance people, one of their best mavens is mortgage lenders. So you have to think about how the cycle works. Where are the people in the process? Who do they need next? And who do they need after you? Where else did they go to answers before they found you? And those kinds of things. And there are a couple what I would call universal mavens, but we can get into that later. So I want to take a minute and talk to you about systems, because systems is the number 2 strategy. And I want you to think about it this way. I remember one time my mom told my dad, look, I want green grass. The neighbors have green grass. Our grass is always brown. I want greener grass. And my dad thought on that for a minute, I'm sure. And I thought it was completely ridiculous. What the heck does your yard have to do with anything? Especially when my dad's running, businesses and my mom is a physical therapist. And who has time for green grass, right? That just seems like it's a novelty or a useless item. I was pretty young then. At any rate, and so my dad though, being who he is, said, okay, you want greener grass. Well, what do I have to do to get greener grass for my wife? So what he did was he started watering the lawn, right? So it's brown, must need water. And so he would stand out there for, 20, 30 minutes at a time, watering the grass, making sure that it had all the water that it needed. And sure enough, the grass started to be greener. And then, of course, after about 2-3 days of that, you can imagine somebody who's running $1 million businesses standing out there watering the lawn. And at first it's kind of cool because you're using that time to think, but that novelty runs off really quickly as you begin to realize how much time you're going to be spending watering the grass as you go out there. So if you are watering the grass, you have to be there. So what you can do, though, is replace yourself. And I would say replace yourself with a sprinkler system, although that's not the first thought that comes to mind, especially not at my family. We joke around every now and then that my mom and dad really only had kids in order to have slave labor. And I don't know if your parents were the same way, but it certainly felt that way to us. So at first he tried to replace himself out there watering the lawn with one of my younger brothers. God bless him. And my younger brother would go out there and water the lawn, but he didn't take the time and care that my dad took exactly, which is, I think, pretty indicative of children. So my dad would come home and the water would be running down the street. Because it had just been left on a tree, and that was going to water the grass somehow. But instead of trying to replace it with another person, he then replaced it with a system. And we're talking about putting systems into your business, and that's strategy number 2. So when you want something done in your business, the best way to go about it is to put a system into place that will allow you to have what it is that you want and need in your business. So as you think about what a system does, it helps replace you. So the question then is, Now, do you have to be there every time to make sure the sprinkler system goes on and off? Well, of course you don't. You don't have to be there every time. You do have to maintain it. You do have to manage it. But basically, after you get the sprinkler system all set up and in place, you have it there, and it takes care of the yard for you. So the question is, how do you speed up the process? How do you make that happen even faster? And this is one of the reasons we really love Infusionsoft, because they help put the systems in place faster and better. So I'm going to use kind of a funny example here. But I know it's an example that we all know. I know it's an example that is easy for people to grasp. So bear with me here, because I know it's a simplistic example, but here is a system that you have right now in your home. Ready? A silverware tray. That's right. Something as simple as a silverware tray is a system. Think about it. If you were going to make breakfast for yourself, so if you're going to make breakfast for yourself and you wanted a bowl of cereal, you could reach into the silverware tray and grab a spoon and eat your breakfast without probably even looking into the cereal, even into the silverware drawer, right? You wouldn't even have to think about it twice. It would almost be on autopilot because the system works so well. Now, if you take that same tray, if you take that same drawer and you just dump all the silverware out into it, and you put the tray, you throw the tray away, and then you shake it all up, because that's what's going to happen as silverware goes back in there. And now you want that same spoon for your same bowl of cereal. Well, now you got to hunt for it a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's not a big mess. That's just one spoon you needed. But if you need 10 spoons, like let's say you're having a family come over for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday you bring out silverware for, and now you need 10 spoons and 10 knives and 10 forks, all of a sudden it's a much more laborious process. It takes time and it takes energy. But if you have your system in place, it's no big deal to count 10 forks and 10 spoons and 10 knives right out of your drawer. And what I'm telling you is this is a lot like your business, where you have forks and knives and spoons all spread into different drawers. And I'm going to tell you that your business is broken up into what I would call 3 sections. I call them the pre-launch, the launch, and the orbit phase. So the pre-launch is what you do before you get business. Before you get business. So this is all of your marketing, this is your sales process, this is all of those things. And then your forks, or your launch, your during, is when you're providing the product or service. This means when they actually are having the inspection done, or when they're actually in the store experiencing your service, when you're actually putting the roof on, or when you are the most seen by the client and the customer getting the thing done that they came to you for. And then the after section here, after you've provided the service, I call that the orbit phase. And the orbit phase is when they are they've used your service, and hopefully now they know you, like you, and trust you, and you are done, so to speak, with the service. But now you want to make sure that you're maintaining relationships with them, and that's what the orbit phase is all about. So if you think about it, the hardest of these really is the pre-launch. And I always say the pre-launch takes the most effort. And the reason is you're putting that rocket ship into space. Everybody who started a new business knows those first couple customers to get really are the hardest customers to get, because you don't have any systems for getting them, after your mom buys. You don't have any systems in place to get those, and it takes a lot of systems that people don't usually think about in order to get that. This is the reason when you walk up to a lemonade stand, a kid's lemonade stand, and you go ahead and order a lemonade, all of a sudden they don't know what to do anymore. So I once went up to a lemonade stand, God bless them, and I love kids being entrepreneurial, so don't get me wrong in this. I've still bought lemonade and a cookie. But they didn't have any cups. And their plan was that when somebody bought a cup of lemonade, they were going to build a paper cup origami style. And so they started building my cup. Well, he hadn't timed himself building a cup. It took 8 minutes just to build the cup. So he wasn't ready for business. He wasn't ready for business. And the young ladies are sitting there. It was two young ladies and a gentleman that were selling lemonade that day. And they were sitting there, and they're trying to talk, but they're realizing, and I'm watching it dawn on them, oh, we weren't really prepared for this. And they weren't, because they hadn't done the pre-launch stuff, the stuff that takes the most effort. They hadn't done enough of the things to get the phone to ring. They hadn't done enough of the things to get people to stop by, and they weren't ready to rock and roll when people did stop by. So I call the pre-launch phase a map. You need a map for the pre-launch phase, something to get them from not knowing you all the way to knowing you, liking you, and trusting you, knowing you well. And so that's the important part of the pre-launch phase, is getting the map in place. And then when we talk about the during, the next thing you want to talk about is what you're going to do when you're most visible to the client and how that happens. So this during phase, or this launch phase, happens during you delivering the product or service. And you are the most referable when you are solving their problems. Now, we are in the business of solving problems. I don't know if you know that. I know we're all marketers. If you don't know that, you probably need to get that one down first, because your first number one job is to market your business. And then secondly, you are in the business of solving people's problems. That's what people are willing to pay for. That's what people pay good money to have done, is to have somebody solve their problem. Whether their problem be a hole that they need, or a roof that they need, or not having a leaking roof, those kinds of things. You are the most referable when you are solving their problems. And I find it very interesting that often people seem to enjoy finding things that are wrong. In the home inspection industry, this is particularly true. And if you think about it, I mean, home inspectors are designed to find things wrong. That's what we do. That's our profession. So we make sure that happens, right? We find things wrong. But everybody is like that. So a dentist is like that. And it almost seems like they're excited they found a cavity, or they're excited that that you're going to need a root canal. And the problem with that is people don't enjoy you finding the problems. People enjoy you solving their problems. Now, the sales process can include mentioning of pain and how you're going to get away from pain and all of those kinds of things. You want to make sure, though, that you're solving those same problems, and don't sound so excited about having found the problems in the first place. The third system in your business, or the third section systems go under in your business, is what I call relationships. It's the orbit phase of your business. So this is after they've done business with you. Then you begin to be in relationship with them. And, you want to be able to develop these relationships. You want to develop these relationships so that they are sustained relationships, because that is what will net you referrals. Referrals is part of the intricate piece to making sure that your business is sustainable. If you had to get new business all the time, eventually you'll run out of ways to do that. Referrals are a great way to get people who aren't necessarily even searching for you to be able to be referred to you, so that they can then use your products and services. They can become clients. And if you equip that rocket ship that we're talking about properly, it will continually send you back useful information such as referrals. So if you think about it real quick, you have the pre-launch, you have the launch, and you have the orbit phase. The pre-launch, the launch, and the orbit phase. So let's ask this: which are you strongest in? Pre-launch, you just love working on finding new clients and customers. If you could just find new clients and customers all the time, you would love that. That would be your favorite thing to do. Or do you love the launch phase, the actual doing of your service? And I put inspection in here because I understand the inspection process, and I want to give an example. But you just really love doing the inspection. You really love building the bicycles, or you really love finding the right college for the kid, or you really love doing the dentistry, or you really love doing the roof work, or whatever it is that is your doing thing. That's the launch mode. If you could just do the dentistry and you didn't have to worry about anything else, that would make you happy. Or is it orbit? And Do you just love keeping up with clients and customers after they've used your product or service? You love keeping up with them and making sure that they're doing well and they're doing great and they're keeping you at top of mind? Do you love the orbit phase? So which one is it? Go ahead and circle it on your handout there. Here's what I got to tell you. That's the problem. Picking one of those is like running your business on a personality versus a system. And that's one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make. And my father made that very same mistake, and luckily he taught it to me way early on in my life, although he didn't learn it until several years into his business career. I mean, my dad really does love people. He loves people on a degree and a level that most people don't. And he believes in them on a level that most people don't. He believes that they can and will be great, and that people will reach their highest level of potential. And when you believe that, you don't necessarily build systems around those people to help support them, not out of spite or malice, but because you think that they're fabulous, wonderful people and that they'll build the systems themselves. But what you don't know is they really don't know how to build those systems. And, I mean, I was in high school when my little baby sister Elizabeth was born. And I'll give you the spoiler alert. She is fine and my mom is fine. But I'm going to tell you the story because it serves a very valid point. My father took 2 weeks off of work when I was in high school to be with my mom in the hospital. My mom had a life-threatening pregnancy. My little sister is 16 years younger than I am, so they did know it was going to be a little bit of a potential for a difficult pregnancy, but they did not know how bad. And so they had to rush my mom to the hospital. And while she was there, of course, my dad was by her side, and they didn't know if they were going to lose my mom or the baby or both. And it was a very trying time, and there was a lot going on. And during the process, my dad's lead inspector quit and his office manager quit. And what he realized is he couldn't even take 2 weeks off to be in the hospital with his pregnant wife without his business going to pieces, because he had been running his business on a personality and not a system. He had been running his business in a way that it needed him all of the time in order for it to be successful. That's what running your business on a personality does. And that's why you have to run your business on systems. You have to make sure that systems are the key thing that keeps your business in motion. And now, when we run our businesses, we run them on systems. And in fact, even in the original home inspection company, he began to run that business on systems after he found a coach that would teach him how. It's not inherent to do these things. You have to be taught to do these things. And that's fine. You just need to go make sure that you have a great teacher. You need to make sure you have somebody who can teach you how to put the systems into place, how to make that happen for your business. So don't beat yourself up if you're running your business on a personality. Almost everybody starts out that way, at least originally. And then we begin to build systems so that we can help support ourselves. So my mom and my sister are fine and well, and my dad learned from a coach, his name was Joe actually, who sent him out into the world to read a book called The E-Myth. And this gentleman actually wasn't taking on new clients, even though he was a consultant at the time. But my dad was insistent, and Joe said, you know what, you're annoying me a little bit. I tell you what, go read this book. It's called The E-Myth, not even The E-Myth Revisited, but The E-Myth. So go buy and read this book and meet me back here at 8 a.m. in the morning with $1,500, and then we'll talk. And so my dad went and hunted down the book. He had to go to 3 different bookstores. Listen to the determination. This is what you need. This is why we talked about the why at the beginning. He had to go to 3 different bookstores. He stayed up all night reading the book, and he had to put money on a credit card in order to pay the coach the $1,500. And that started his journey of knowing how to build his business on a system instead of a personality, moving it forward again and again and again. Okay, so systems. I think we've talked about that quite a bit, and you know how important that they are, and we've given you some great examples there. So let's talk about stackables and what I would call adjacent needs. So when you start building systems into your business, I want you to build stackable systems. I want you to build systems that will stack on top of each other and continue to serve each other over and over and over again. Okay, so this is a triangle, a beautiful isosceles triangle. Thank you, PowerPoint, because if I had tried to draw that, we would be in a world of hurt. But PowerPoint does a great job. So there's a beautiful triangle. So when you think about stackables in your business, I want you to think about systems where you build one, and then you can build another, and another, and another, and another, and they begin to stack and fill your business with all the things that you need. So maybe one of these stackables is your unique selling points. What makes you special and different? Maybe one of them is your brochure, your business card. Maybe one of them is a website that actually sells stuff. Maybe one of them is sales scripts. Maybe one of them is scripts for how you talk to people in business. So keeping in mind that each one of these has a place in your business. It has something to do with building it up and making it work over and over and over again. And it's a system. It's a system so that you can continue to build system after system after system instead of having to dig through the silverware drawer every time you have to answer a question at a cocktail party or every time you have to answer a question for a new client or customer, those kinds of things. You have to make sure that this system is actually serving you. Okay, here's the cool thing about this. Once you've got this all built out, so let's say you have, more blocks in here, and you've got your triangle all built, the very cool thing about this is that you can then add on another whole triangle to your business. So you can then add a whole nother layer onto your business. And some people add on a layer of coaching. Some people add on a secondary business. Whatever it is, the beauty of the stackables is that once they're created, you can, like the sprinkler system, go back, maintain them, make sure they're working right, but they are the ones doing all of the heavy lifting. They're the systems that are making things happen in your business instead of you having to do it over and over and over again. So I want to share with you one great stackable. It's really a differentiator because it helps you to be able to set yourself apart when you talk to people, whether it be at cocktail parties or whether it's at association events, even clients and customers. And it's one of the best scripts that I love to use with mavens, the people that can send me lots of business, the people that can send me lots of referrals, because I've built things into this so that they know that it's safe to refer people to me. I had a coach one time tell me, and I love this, he said, a referral is sending someone you like to someone you trust. A referral is sending someone you like to someone you trust. How powerful is that? So this particular script is built in such a way that it's easy for them to remember to send us people because they trust us. And it's easy for them to remember to send us people because we're reminding them to send us referrals. So here it is. Now, if you don't have time to write all this down, that's perfectly fine. You can go out to coachblueprintbonus.com and I'll actually download the same handout with all of the answers built right into it. So people ask all the time, how's business? How's business? How's business? And that's a great question. Some people say, how's business? They say, oh, it's going great, da-da-da-da. But you can't really say that all the time, particularly if you're in a down market. And also, it tends to send a vibe that you're too busy to pick up new business. So you don't want to do that. And then the other thing people say is, oh, my goodness, it's going so terrible. This economy really has to turn around. And I'm going to tell you this, and this isn't what people want to hear, so just bite your tongue a little bit as you hear this. Nobody wants to be around a complainer. Nobody, particularly not the top people in your industry, the top people in your business. And really, you don't want to be around complainers either when you stop and really think about it. You want to be around people who are making things happen. They're getting things done. And that's why you want to have a great answer to this question that is not an answer that is way high up and it's not way high down. So here it is. How's business? It's going well. And then pause briefly. Mainly, in fact, because we're putting into place systems that help us serve our clients better. We're giving our clients a more consistent and predictable service each and every time. So most people can manage that, and I'll tell you what's better. And when you very first start to do this, I know that it will be hard for some people, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways. You can just do this first part. I would really love to see you add, however, is there another agent that you know that could benefit from this kind of service? So our home inspection service, for example. Is there another orthodontist that you know that could benefit from knowing a great dentist? Is there another, and then fill in your maven that could benefit from your type of service? So is there another youth pastor that could that could benefit from great transportation service? Is there another roofing company that you know that could benefit from a great, just so easy to put this in here. Just figure out who your maven is and put it in there and say, you can even say that could benefit from our service if you want to. You can be that blunt. So it's going well, mainly, in fact, because we're putting into place systems that help us serve our clients better each and every time. We're giving our clients and customers more consistent, more predictable service each and every time. Is there another agent that you know that could benefit from this type of service? Simple, sweet, perfect. Okay, so let's go on. The 2-week calendar, the 2-week success calendar. I hear a lot of people that complain about the fact that they can't get everything done that they want to get done. In fact, they ask me a lot, how do you get everything done? I help my father run 4 businesses. I'm really the business manager for all 4 companies. I love it. Never a dull moment, which is, I think, fantastic and fabulous. But it does lead to a lot of things needing to get done. And so people ask me all the time, how do you get everything done? And so the deal with doing all of these things and getting them done is they're important to get done. So I've actually put this out at coachblueprintbonus.com, this whole success calendar that we're going to talk about, and I want to walk you through it really quickly. So the very first thing you need to do is learn how to split your time into the 3 types of time, and I call them focus on, function in, and freedom from time. So this is actually in your handout. It's strategy number 4, the 2-week success calendar, and the first one is focus on time. Now this is time spent on your business as opposed to time spent in your business. This is time built building stackables. This is time built hiring a new person. This is time that makes your business run better and smoother. If you think about it, this is time spent doing what Gary Keller would call the one thing that makes everything else easier or irrelevant. This is the time spent working on your business, focus time. And then you have function time. Function time is time spent working in your business. This is the doing of everything that you have to do all the time. So it's not a bad thing, but it's just time spent in your business. It doesn't necessarily move your business forward the way focus on time business does, but focus in time is delivering whatever it is that you need to deliver in your business. So it's extremely important time because it means you're doing what you said you would do. Catastrophically important. You must do what you say you will do in business. All right, and then freedom from time. So this is time spent away from your business. And as small business owners, we tend to have a difficulty with freedom from time, or we tend to have a difficulty making ourselves have any time for ourselves at all, time for ourselves and for our family. So if you split your time into these 3 types of times, it really helps you to identify it, get it separated out, and then be able to put it on the calendar, which is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do and exactly what you can do with the calendar out at coachblueprintbonus.com. And we put it out there big and letter size so that you'd have both versions. So the very first thing I'm going to tell you to put on your calendar is focus time. I want you to have 6 hours of focus time a week. You can break this up into 90-minute segments or 3-hour segments or 90-minute segments. Nothing less than 90 minutes, nothing more than 3 hours at a single time without a significant break in between. You need to have this on your calendar because this is where you're going to build the stackables. This is where you're going to build the things that matter in your business. The second kind of time, and I think this is the most important time, I put the focus time on there first because as business owners, we're really focused on making things happen. Here's the real bottom line, tell it like it is, fact of business. You are rocking your family's security boat when you go into business. That's the way it is, and that's okay. We don't want to turn the boat over, but it's okay to rock the boat if rocking the boat is what it takes to get to the next level, if that's what it takes to get us to where we really need to be, both in business and in life. But you have to mitigate the rocking of the boat. And so when you mitigate it, one of the ways to do that is date night and family night. So my dad always tells me, and I love this, and it's a little simplistic, so the women I know, just bear with me just a little bit here, but when you hear it, you'll understand why it's so important for the men to hear this. Your family needs two things. They need security, and they need commitment. They need security, and they need commitment. And when you go into business by yourself, you rock you rock the security boat. When you go into business for yourself, because you are now the end-all be-all, you are rocking the security boat, and that's okay. What you don't want to do is also go rock the commitment boat, and you're rocking the commitment boat when you don't show up and make time for your family. So if you're not at family events, so that's what date night and family night help do. If you succeed in business, which I can help you do without a problem, which Infusionsoft can help you do, and you lose your family, you lost everything. So that's not going to happen. So when you build the 2-week calendar, one of the very first things you're going to put on there, you can put focus time on there first if you want, but I really recommend date night and family night. And stick to it like a doctor's appointment. And if you have to move it, then move it. My dad makes date night on Thursday night. And he says that's because if he botches up Thursday night, then he's got backups. He's the king of backups. So he's got Friday night and Saturday night and even Sunday night if he has to get it right. I have date night on Sunday night, and I put it on Sunday because that's the time when we can almost always get a babysitter. It seems like Thursday and Friday night, Saturday night are difficult nights for us, either because of things that are going on at the kids' school or Cub Scouts, or just because we can't find a babysitter. So our night is Sunday night. So we love that. And then also put family night on the calendar. This is just time set aside for your family where you do something as a family. It could be a board game. It could just be throwing a football out in the yard. It could be as simple as walking around the block. And these don't have to be expensive things. Even date night doesn't have to be expensive. I know one date night, Norman and I, we were college kids at the time, and I'll tell you about it later, but I'm a pretty big saver, not a spender. And so we didn't have any money left in the budget. So we packed sandwiches in a basket, and we took it to the park with a blanket, and we had a great date night during the middle of the day that cost us nothing more than what we were already going to eat. It's perfect. Date night can be extravagant, but it doesn't have to. You got to keep your family together. That's what it's really all about ultimately. Just want to make sure that we're keeping the family together while we're actually succeeding in business as well. And then Freedom Day. Freedom Day should be, or Freedom Time should be your time to recoup, get yourself back together, and make sure that you're keeping yourself whole and healthy as you go along in this process. Now, the next thing I want to put on the calendar is what I call marketing time. So you can see I put in a bunch of marketing time here, and then also office meetings. The Big Bang Marketing is all about, and you'll hear it here in a minute, strategy number 5, about getting to be able to do presentations for your mavens or getting appointments with your mavens. And that's what this office meeting time is all about, this big reservation here in the bright red on Tuesday both days. Now, I put it on Tuesdays because our mavens like to meet on Tuesday mornings. So that's fantastic. They can meet on Tuesday mornings, and I reserve Tuesday mornings so that we can meet. And then we have all this other marketing time in here built in so that there's time reserved to do marketing. You know, it's funny how if there's not time reserved to do something, it tends to fall off the calendar. We don't want to let that happen. So we put the marketing time on there. And then a lot of people would tell me, gosh, with all that time, when do you ever have time to get anything done? I have lots of time to get stuff done. If you have 3 appointments in a day, then this is what it sort of looks like on the left. If you have 2 appointments in a day, then this is what it sort of looks like on the right-hand side. So lots of time for appointments and getting stuff done. And like I said, that's out at CoachBlueprintBonus.com. So the whole point of this is 2 goals. 2 goals. The first goal, Haha. So the first goal is speaking is the number one fastest way to grow your business. So that is our first goal. And if you speak to mavens, it helps maximize the number one fastest way to grow your business. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. You want to be able to speak to mavens. You want to be able to make that happen. That's your goal. It's usually about this time in the presentation when I'm talking to people that I see people start to lose what I would call their focus. They're starting to say to themselves, this is hard, this is a lot to do, this is a lot of concepts, I don't really want to speak. And I think it's mostly that speaking piece that gets people to the scared point. Here's the deal with the speaking piece. Here's the deal with all the pieces that will make you terribly, terribly successful. There are going to be voices in your head telling you you can't do it. There are going to be voices in your head telling you 101 reasons why it will never work. And those voices have served you for a long time in your life, and you're bound to listen to them at some point or another. The problem is just that simply that those voices are wrong. So I want you to think about the how's business script. Now that's a pretty long answer to how's business, right? Is it too long? What will people say? I want you to reach out. I put a volume knob right there on the screen for you. So just reach out and listen to those voices for a second. In fact, turn them up really, really loud. Listen to the voices for a minute. What do they say? What are all the reasons this won't work, can't work, shouldn't work? Yep, nice and loud. All right, now I want you to reach out and grab the volume knob again, and I want you to start turning those voices down. Make them quieter and quieter, softer and softer, softer and softer, softer and softer, till they're almost a whisper. So they're just whispering in your ear now, and your clear, conscious thought is more loudly heard and more believed than those little voices of doubt. And not everybody can do this, but if you can, I want you to actually click, turn them off. Choose to suspend disbelief. Here's what I know. Who controls the voices in your head? You do. So in the box, on your handout, I want you to write in big letters. It says, who controls the voices in your head? I want you to write in big letters, I do. And anytime you're getting to a place where you think, I can't do this, this is too hard, this isn't going to work, if somebody reliable told you to do it and you promise to give it your best effort, it doesn't matter all the what ifs. Turn those voices down and then turn them off if possible and make it happen. Here's part of the deal. When you work with mavens, you're working with referrals. We want referrals for a couple of reasons. They take less time to handle, they cost less to get, and you have more respect. You know, in short, referrals makes your life easier, or referrals make your life easier. That's why we go for referrals. That's why we do speaking. That's why we adjust the house business script. That's why we adjust the before, so the pre-launch, the during, the launch, and the after, the orbit. That's why we adjust all three of those to have systems in place that encourage referrals each and every step along the way. That's why we have specific systems in the pre-launch phase that get referral sources, that get mavens to know us, to like us, and to trust us, because it makes our lives easier. Okay, so 6 magic words. These 6 magic words should help you out considerably as we go forward. So 6 magic words that will really help your business. And they are easy to say. They're not simple, or maybe they're simple, but they're not easy. And so here they are. Whenever you're talking to somebody, as when you go into your conversation, one of the best ways to start to get referrals, to start people knowing you're a referral-based business, is to just simply say, hey, please don't keep me a secret. Please don't keep me a secret. Please don't keep me a secret. You can even put that on the back of your business cards and all of those kinds of things as you go forward, making that happen. I remember one time we needed a referral for a shower pan somebody to fix the shower pan, and a regular plumber probably could do the job, but somebody who specializes in shower pans would be a much better suited person. And so we went and asked one of our very top agents, who she would recommend so that we could get the problem fixed. And she said, oh, sure, and she ran over to her Rolodex. Now, for those of you young people, that's just a contact system. It was round, and it had cards in it, and you would staple people's business cards to it. Metal staples. It was vicious and brutal, and that's why we don't do it anymore, and we now have iPhones. So at any rate, she pulled a card out of her Rolodex, and she's put it down on the copier to copy it, and then she got this mortified look on her face. And I remember thinking, oh, my gosh, what is wrong with this guy? And she said, hey, you're not going to tell other people about this guy, right? Because if you do, then he won't be available when I need him. And we promised, no. We just need, we just have this one-time issue. It's not like we're going to use him a lot. We just had this one shower pan, and it's an issue. And we promised we won't tell anybody else about him. And so she seemed relieved, and she gave us the photocopy of the card, and we left. And as we left, I began to think, does she do that with our business cards? Your referral sources, the ones that really love you, are they your biggest champions, or are they really hiding you? So these 6 words help them get the message out there. Now, you still have to have world-class service, and you still have to be able to handle it when they call you. But get them to get in the mode of referring you. Please don't keep me a secret. Here's the other thing. 6 magic words. Again, people don't like to hear these words, but they work and they're important, and you need to hear them. Somebody needs to be saying them, and people need to be believing them. So 6 new magic words. Highest paid people, practice, practice, practice. It's not good enough to just show up and try to get it done the first time. You need to be practicing. You need to know your craft. You need to know what you're doing. And you need to know your craft both in a marketing sense and in your doing sense. So if you build bicycles, you need to know how to build bicycles. You need to know how to provide world-class service for building bicycles. And you also need to know how to get people in to buy the bicycles. And you need to know how to service clients after they've bought bicycles. Practice, practice, practice. When you see a professional basketball player taking a free throw, you know he has practiced that shot over and over and over and over and over again, because the highest paid people practice, practice, practice. The highest paid people know their craft, and they get it done. Okay, so number 6 is Big Bang Marketing. And we're going to go through this a little bit quickly because I'm running against the time clock here a little bit. Big Bang Marketing helps you establish beginning relationships with whatever group you're using it on. Usually this is a maven. It also helps you determine your unique selling point. That would be whatever makes you special and different. Find the opportunity gap to help differentiate your business, help make sure you end up on the list of recommended service providers, set you up to do a presentation for your mavens, and make sure your name is on the top of every maven's mind. So when someone asks for your service, she thinks of your name or he thinks of your name first. And also establish a pattern of marketing that you will be able to use for years to bring in new business. So the 2 main goals of Big Bang Marketing. Number 1, mavens get to know you, like you, and trust you. Remember, a referral is sending someone you like to someone you trust. So getting mavens to know you, like you, and trust you. Number 2 is to schedule presentations or appointments with mavens. And it's an 8-week program that you go through to do that. It takes 6 candy bowls and 5 bowls of candy, a roll of Scotch tape, 8 different flyers, 4 basic types, but keeping them unique. And the flyers include like a Just for Fun flyer, a fellowship letter, a testimonial letter, a proof positive postcard, and a business time. And when you go in looking at these flyers, I want you to see how they're so carefully crafted to make sure that we are hitting something really important. So there's 5 flyers. There's really 4 flyers here, and then the testimonial letter is a little bit different. So the 4 different types of flyers, the Just for Fun, the fellowship letter, the proof positive postcard, and the business time. Even when you hear their names, I want you to hear we are hitting the 4 different personality types. and on purpose. So keeping that going. Make sure that your business card reflects who you are. Even if you put something as simple as, please don't keep me a secret on the back of it. Another one of the things I love about business cards is making sure that you're using the back side of it. Finally, people have started to catch on to this, so make sure that you are definitely using the back side of yours as well. And then also your unique selling point. This is a critical, crucial piece, the unique selling point. Making sure that it's an ultimate advantage, a sensational offer, and or a powerful promise. And creating an elevator speech around that allows you to quickly deliver your USP and make people want to ask more questions about your product and service, get them to know you, like you, and trust you just by answering the question about what makes you different in business. As I talk about USPs, I want to talk about 2 points that make it really crucial, critical. Whenever I talk about USPs, people sometimes, whenever I talk about USPs, it's almost always that somebody tells me their USP, and it's not really a USP. It's really an RSP or a GSP. An RSP being a required sales point. So this is like saying, hey, I'm a licensed dentist. Well, okay, but isn't every dentist? Well, they all should be, right? So it's a required sales point. It's something you have to be in order to even be considered. That does not count as a unique selling point. That's a required sales point. And then also there are GSPs, or generic sales points. And this is saying things that they matter, but everybody has these things, and so they're no longer unique in your industry. So, for example, if I line up 100 roofers and I say, hey, please take a step forward if you're going to do a good quality job on my roof, and then how many people step forward? All of them step forward. Everybody thinks they do a great quality job. So that's not a unique sales point. Even if it's not true, the fact that they'll tell people that makes it a generic sales point. What you're really looking for is the opportunity gap. You're looking for the place where you can shine and be special, where you can have a unique advantage, an ultimate advantage, a sensational offer, or a powerful promise above and beyond what anybody else offers. That is the opportunity gap that you are seeking out every time that you go looking for a new USP, every time you go looking for what it is that you're going to talk about. All right. So then you take the chocolate bowl into the office and you talk to the person, usually at the front desk, and I don't take the chocolate bowl all made together. I just put this up here to show you what this looks like. I take the chocolate bowl empty so that I can fill it with a candy right there in the office. And I say, hey, I was just hoping to set up a chocolate bowl in your office. And usually you say, where should I set it? And they'll say, oh, right here in front of me. And it's amazing. People tell me all the time this was their biggest stopping factor from starting the Big Bang Marketing, was they weren't sure how it was going to be received. They were afraid to go and put it into the office. And I would encourage you again to take a hold of your volume knob and just go try it. Just go put it in there and make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do. Make sure you do the 8-week program. Make sure that you show up every week for 8 weeks so that they get to know you, like you, and trust you. Make sure that you're hitting the right kind of mavens, the people that can actually send you business. So you take the bag and the bowl in, and you say, hey, I was hoping I could just set up a chocolate bowl for your office. And the person usually says, oh, yeah, sure. You say, that'd be perfect. Where would you like it? And they usually say, oh, how about right here? Or sometimes they say, oh, the break room in the back would be the perfect place. Or next to the computer stations used to be popular before everybody had a laptop. So wherever they want you to put it. But right now, usually it's right on the front desk or in the break room. And so going and putting it up in there, and you're going to set it up with your flyers in it. Here's another example of the flyers and the business cards that go in it. In the bottom of the bowl, I always put a sticker that says, out of chocolate, give me a call. And then I like to use the Hershey Miniatures chocolate. And the reason it is, if a particular type of chocolate starts disappearing, I have a 70+% chance of knowing the main personality type in that office. And so that helps greatly. Plus, they're an upscale chocolate. They're not an upscale chocolate, but they're an upscale candy. So that tells people that you're actually doing great things in your business and that you want to be part of that. So week 1, you deliver the chocolate bowls and you deliver the flyers. Week 2, you refill the chocolate bowls. You deliver the second type of flyer. Week 3, you refill the chocolate bowl again, deliver the third type of flyer. And here's the deal. Don't be surprised when as you go through, you have to search for the chocolate bowl. People will think you're only coming once. So when you come back that second or third time to fill the chocolate bowl, don't be surprised to find it missing. Just bring you another glass bowl to put it in. Don't get upset when it's missing. Just know that you're making it happen as you go through there. And continue to refill the chocolate bowl each week and dropping off the flyers each and every week. You are teaching them that you are trustworthy because you showed up 8 weeks in a row. You are teaching them they can trust you because you showed up 8 weeks in a row and you did what you said you were going to do. I'm just going to tell you, that does not happen very often. Usually when people show up in somebody's office and drop off candy, they do it once, maybe twice, or if they come in and they want to drop off brochures and handouts, they do it once, maybe twice, and then they're gone. You're not like that. You are going to show up. So let's take the steps towards success in your business. The first one is you must have a burning desire. We talked about your why. Knowing your why and knowing what you're going forward to is a must in your business. Number 2, you must have specialized knowledge in the what that you're doing, but also specialized knowledge in the marketing of that system. And number 3, you must have discipline. You must stay focused. We've helped you with this with the 2-week success calendar. You must know what your stackables are and when you're going to start getting them done. And number 4, you must become decisive in nature and take action. Do something in your business. Most people, it takes them months to make decisions. Top CEOs, it takes them days or weeks to make decisions. The very best CEOs in the nation, it takes them days to make even important decisions. This is because you have to become decisive in nature. You have to be moving forward. It's so much easier to turn your ship, even if you made a bad decision, than it is to wait and make the perfect decision every time. You have to make sure that you are taking action each and every time. And then you have to find yourself a mastermind team. I don't know how to say this any better. You could read Napoleon Hill and his Think and Grow Rich. A mastermind team, this is somebody, it's a group of people where you have peers around yourself so that you can bounce ideas off of them, get to know them, hear their stories, success stories and failure stories in business. I told you before, for me, being in a mastermind group was way more than my college was. Even though I have my degree and I wouldn't change it, masterminds is something I continue to invest in over and over and over again because they're that valuable, that important. And the next thing that you need, all of this happens when you have the right coach. You learn how to have the right coach. You learn how to be successful in business. And then you learn how to do things like have 62% growth in your business. It's amazing when you're helping people help themselves. That just overflows into them helping others. And Teresa is actually one of those. Beginning to help others now. So 7 surprisingly simple ways to get more business now guaranteed. We talked about clients and customers, systems, stackables, the 2-week calendar, presentations and appointments, the Big Bang marketing, and coaching. Get yourself into coaching so that you know what that's like. And this is actually Bill and Amanda Chandler, and they have 3 times the business this particular year. You know what? It's amazing when you can help people do this. And this is actually an older picture of them. I asked her to send me her favorite picture of the 2 of them, and that's back when they were dating. They're a little older than that now, though. So go ahead and go out to get the whole complete webinar, and also to get the copy of the Coach Blueprint Success Calendar here, and go out to CoachBlueprintBonus.com to do that. And I do want to take a minute here just to tell you a little bit about Infusionsoft. And learn more about Infusionsoft, you can go to Infusionsoft.com/Krista, and you can actually sign up so that they can give you your growth plan, and they can set up an appointment with you. Infusionsoft has been incredibly invaluable to my business. When you talk about building systems and stackables, when you talk about building things that will last the generations and the ages of your business and that you can continue to build on one after another, you're talking about something like Infusionsoft or something like your business card. This is a staple in your business. This is something that works day in and day out for you. And they've become great business coaches as they've been learning how to do this. So if you like it and you want to use Infusionsoft, they'll help you set everything up. And if you don't, you'll get great business insights into your business just by going through and working on the growth plan with them and sitting down and doing the appointment where you're taking the time to focus on your business instead of just working in your business and making it work that direction. Okay, so you have 2 steps to start your success. And the first step is to go out to CoachBlueprintBonus.com and make sure that you get the success calendar downloaded. And we have some other special bonuses out for you there for you as well. And then also to go to Infusionsoft.com/Krista, CHRISTA, and to make that happen, to get your growth plan and talk to an Infusionite. That's what they call their wonderful team members at Infusionsoft, Infusionites. Love talking to those people because they have great insight. And sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees, and it's great to talk to somebody who has business sense and business knowledge and actually can say, hey, what about this kind of a lead funnel? Or what about this kind of a neat free thing to offer people to get them to give you their contact information so that you can begin to communicate with them? Those kinds of ideas are priceless and amazing, and they're great at doing that. So CoachBlueprintBonus.com and Infusionsoft.com/Krista. It's been wonderful spending time with you today. I hope that you have the very best of success in your business, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.